Hello, nerds. This is the music section that has been taken from the main channel at Generally Nerdy here on the YouTubes, or you can go find it on Rumble or wherever else. This is the music section. It was taken from a much larger video that I like to call The Weekend Nerddom. That's available on the main channel. While you're here, don't forget to stick around afterwards because there's a lot of exclusive content on this channel that only exists here. So go check out some of that once you're done here. Either way, let's talk about the music news, shall we? Music news is where we start every episode. So we have one follow-up. We've been keeping kind of tabs on Stained recently because they've been doing some reunion shows and Aaron Lewis has been pretty active, but the rest of the band's Mike Mushak and the rest have not been all that active. All of that being said, it seems that they are now finally recording their first new studio record in 12 years. So that has officially been announced. They are writing the material. I do not believe that they are recording just yet, though I'm unfamiliar with their writing and recording process. So the two could be correlated very directly, or they could do it like other bands and write in a very separate session from recording and therefore not in studio. So not exactly sure on all of these specifics, but as we get closer, we will be talking about it. So let's move right along. In new music, we have some bands that honestly I was just trying to expand my horizons and therefore your horizons by association. So if you are interested in some of these bands, some of these are bands that we've been talking about previously, or just new music from bands that, you know, the channel is fans of effectively. So let's start at the top and then go from there. First up, Svalbard, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce the name of this band. The name of the song is Eternal Spirits. The reason this one caught my eye is because this song is dedicated specifically to Joey Jordison, but also to metal icons that we have lost throughout the years. Was kind of as the interview went when they released this this track. The interview kind of they elaborated on it and they said, you know, not just Joey, but Joey. The song itself is pretty middle of the road death metal. Like, it's not terrible, but the production value is actually pretty solid, so not something you can always say about the death metal genre. But if you're not into death metal, this isn't a standout track of the genre, so it's not really going to change your mind much. Though if you are into death metal, this is pretty solid by all the tent poles and such, but again, nothing really to write home about. So the weak recommend, I guess. Next is a band called Slumbering Sun. The name of the song is Liminal Bridges. This is a new release from a new-ish band. I didn't really go too deep into who the band is. It just, you know, new music, so let's talk about it. The genre that I would put this in is a very interesting state of affairs. It's kind of stoner metal without the metal, necessarily. It's like kind of hard rock, but in the vein of stoner metal. Not really doom. It's not that downtrodden. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what's going on here, though I don't know if I'm ever going to come to a final conclusion, because even so, the sum of its parts should be greater than the rest of it, right? And I don't think that's really what's going on here. Now let's get into some stuff that we've talked about before, some bands and music that is related to things that have been a recurring thing on the channel. First up is Firstborn. If you'll remember, Firstborn is the band that Chris Adler has joined since leaving Lamb of God. We talked previously about a single that they released a few months back. They have released a new single called Sinners, and man, for somebody who thinks that Lamb of God is too formulaic, Chris Adler is definitely making music that is transparent, not just formulaic, but like you can see where the change is coming as soon as the previous change it's just, this is not good. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Chris these days, but he used to make amazing music. He used to be a drummer that drummers looked up to. The stuff on this record, from what we've seen so far, any high school drummer could do this kind of stuff, let alone somebody as freaking talented as Chris Adler. So yeah, this is a hard not recommend. Steer clear, honestly, of the band Firstborn. They're not good. Then let's talk about Cradle of Filth has released a new single, and this one doesn't come from their previous release. The previous record that they put out, Existence is Futile. We talked about that when it released. We talked about the singles that came out of that one. This one, though, is called She is a Fire. Let's get the name exactly right, shall we? This comes from a new live record that they just announced is coming out. This is their first live record in 21 years. The previous live record was Live Bait from 2002. That's right. 2002 was the last time Cradle of Filth put out a live record. This is not a live recording anyway. If you follow the link in the description, it is one of 2 original tracks on the record. It is a double album. The name of the record, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Name of the record is Trouble and Their Double Lives. So kind of a little bit of wordplay there. This is Cradle of Filth. If you like Cradle of Filth, you're going to love this. Production is stellar. Everybody's delivery and performance is exactly where Danny Filth wants it. So if you like Cradle, you're going to really, really like this. If you don't like Cradle, this ain't changing anybody's mind. It's solid as far as a Cradle of Filth song goes, but I would much rather listen to better black metal. But that's just me. New music out of the way. Let's talk about some regular ass news. Regular ass news. We have, honestly, all right, so we have 2 to talk about. I didn't put one of them in the notes. I'm not even sure I'm going to put it in the show notes in post, just because it's going to be ever so brief. The secondary one is a little bit more interesting, but the first one, we have to get it out of the way. Good God, Lizzo, kinda, sorta covered about 30 seconds of Du Hast from Rammstein while performing in Germany. It's a Lizzo concert, so you can, like, use your imagination with what that is. I have seen only roughly about 10 seconds before the 30 seconds of Rammstein, then roughly 10 seconds after the 30 seconds of Rammstein, and it's pretty much what I expected a Lizzo concert to be. And it's kind of cool that she's aware that Rammstein's a thing, but is this something that we really needed to spend time talking about? I feel bad even including it here. That's why it's not in the notes, because I was like, am I going to talk about it? We'll decide when we're in front of the camera. And yeah, I feel like it needs to be at least passively mentioned, because, and this is the reason why I finally came to the conclusion, all right, let's talk about it. Because one of the things we talk about a lot in the music section is the general acceptance of more extreme forms of music. The general acceptance, very specifically, of metal music. I mean, we do talk about other genres on the channel, but largely, I'm a metalhead. That's the kind of news I cover here in the music section of the news show. So it's significant to me that somebody as mainstream as Lizzo is, I'm not going to say that she's broadening anyone's horizons, because it's Germany and Rammstein's kind of their biggest musical export in any sort of significant amount of time. So I'm sure everybody at that concert at least knows who Rammstein is, probably has a pretty decent appreciation for the band Rammstein, or, I mean, I used to work with a German guy who thought Rammstein were, fascists, and that's definitely not who Rammstein is. So there are definitely people from Germany who don't understand Rammstein because it's industrial heavy metal, and that means it's bad, and so they must be talking about things that Germans would associate with bad, right? Not the case, but we're birdwalking a little bit. Again, the significant thing here is that this is something that is getting major mainstream music outlet news coverage, which means, generally speaking, we're becoming more and more accepted, and more people are going to like this genre that we generally like as metalheads. So yeah, that's why it's significant. I don't give a crap that Lizzo was twerking or whatever the hell she was doing while she was singing the song. I also think it's hilarious that she didn't know the words in order to properly cover the song. She knows Du hast Mesh, and that's about it. So she kept saying like Oma because she had learned, according to a number of news articles that I read about this, she learned that previous in the day before this performance, learned that Oma was grandma in German. I think it was Oma. It might be Ima. I can't remember. My German's pretty damn rusty, the bit that I do know. So yeah, she kept injecting that word into like, sure, it sounds German. Let's put that there. It goes anywhere, right? Because I know German words now. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a laughingstock. It's kind of making a mockery, but she at least knows who Rammstein is, which means now millions of her fans know who Rammstein is, and maybe that's going to expand the appreciation for the genre just a little bit. Now let's get to real damn news. This one honestly is another pop star. We're talking about Justin Bieber, but there is a bigger picture here as well. So, Justin Bieber, very recently, within the last month, I believe, though I didn't include the time frame in the notes because it's fairly irrelevant. Justin Bieber sold the rights to his entire catalog of music. So everything that has Justin Bieber's name on it from when he started up until 2021, I believe, is now property of, what's the name of the song management company? Hypnosis, the Hypnosis. So Hypnosis. This is significant because a number of things. First, the rights, the only way an artist makes music or makes money on their music is by owning the rights and the masters to the songs so that nobody can do anything with it without their permission. Because when the record label owns the rights and or the masters, then they have a lot more say in, you know, where the money goes, and that just doesn't equal a good payday for the artist in the end. So it's significant that he's doing that. It's also significant that Hypnosis Song Management is the name of this company, that they're the ones that bought it for a reported $200 million, though that has not been officially stated. That is an estimate. This song management company also owns the rights to much of Metallica's back catalog, as well as Michael Bublé, which is kind of funny. But just very interesting that Bieber is doing this, and that I previously, up until this, thought that Metallica maintained the rights to their own music, but no, apparently they don't. So they could be making a lot more freaking money. But again, the big picture here is just potentially this could be Bieber trying to do some sort of artist, I want all of the things that I write myself to be mine, and everything he wrote up until 2021 had a team of writers or, you know, a producer writing it and giving it to him, and he had very little say in the music. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe he wants to go forward as an artist, which I guess there's honor in that, but this is just so interesting because this is so endemic. Very famously, Paul McCartney said to Michael Jackson at one point, you want to make money in the music industry, buy the rights to songs. And then very shortly thereafter, the rights to the Beatles music came up for sale because the Beatles at the time did not own much of the rights to their own music, and so Michael Jackson bought the rights to a very large chunk of the Beatles catalog, which, you know, that's honestly how he made a lot of money. Michael Jackson, before he died, also owned the rights to a lot of Pearl Jam music, which is also very funny to me. So yeah, this is where the money is in the music industry, and Bieber just signed it away. And Metallica apparently has at least a chunk of their catalog signed away in the same fashion. So yeah, just, I don't know. What do you guys make of this? I'm giving you information that maybe you don't have any use for, but now you're going to win at trivia when you go to the bar next weekend. That's what we got for regular ass news. So let's talk music suggestions, baby. This week's musical suggestion is a record that just came out from a band called In Flames. The name of the record is Foregone. It came out February 10th, and you really need to be listening to some In Flames. These guys have basically a whole subgenre of metal in their image. If you like metalcore, if you like anything resembling that, then a lot of those bands were very directly influenced by this band. And this band puts on a hell of a... These dudes are in their 50s, and I just saw them live, and they put on a hell of a show, and they played a good chunk of the stuff off this record. I've listened to this record a little bit since it's been out, and just great metal music. Go check out Foregone from In Flames. Once again, nerds, that was a short section that comes from a longer video on the main channel, Generally Nerdy, YouTube or Rumble. Take your pick. I'm on both. You can go find it there. You can go find all of the other news there as well, including the live episode. We do a live episode roughly once a week, every Friday evening. You can join the conversation live, or you can just leave comments here on this one or any of the other ones you find on the Clips channel. Thank you very much, nerds. We've got other news to discuss in other videos, but while we're getting out of here, don't forget that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.